Hi, and welcome to Wednesdays with Welch. I'm State Senator Jim Welch, and thanks for tuning in with this latest episode. And we're very happy and pleased to have with us today Kay Simpson from the Springfield Museums, the executive director. I think that is that your the title you go by, Kay?
It's actually
Um,
president and CEO.
President and
Close
CEO. I
enough.
apologize. But so we're very pleased to have Kay with us today, and Kay and her staff do a wonderful job at the Springfield Museums. Really, truly, one of the great gems of not only the city of Springfield but Western Mass and the state and region. So it really is truly amazing how many great presentations and events happen at the Springfield Museums throughout the year. So we're very happy to have Kay on with us today. And Kay, I usually give our guest a minute or so to just talk a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are and anything else you'd like to share with us.
Well, sure. Thank you so much. And the Springfield Museums always appreciate getting any exposure we can on social media or traditional media channels. So we really appreciate being spotlighted on your show. Thank you very much.
Sure.
And in terms of my background, I actually have a background in museum education. I started out as an intern at the Springfield Museums, and I now serve, as you know, as president and CEO of museums. I've been in my position in that role for about 5 years. And the Springfield Museums are an absolutely wonderful place to work. They're so unusual in the sense that you have 5 museums and an outdoor sculpture park in a very unique interdisciplinary complex. So it's a great asset for the city of Springfield. And I think that you are aware that one of our notable accomplishments over the last 5 years has been to open the Amazing World of Dr. Seuss Museum. And we really thank you, Senator Welch, for your help, because some of the funding we got to open the museum was through the state and with the help of your advocacy. But opening the Dr. Seuss Museum really transformed our complex and gave us international status, really heightened our profile and doubled our attendance. We get visitors from all over the world, as well as visitors from Springfield and the region and across America.
Absolutely, it's just a great place, and again, as you said, it's there's so many different things to participate in up there, or to look at, or to experience there. It's for any person of any age can find something exciting or interesting to do there. So just a tremendous, great way to great work you're doing up there. But and I was happy to see that I think just a couple weeks ago you were able to open back up to visitors. And, I know obviously with COVID-19, there are certain requirements now and, adjustments that need to be made. Could you just share with us a little bit about what, the Springfield Museums are doing to ensure that the public has a safe experience at the museums?
Well, that's a great question. And in fact, it's really been a long journey in terms of preparing for our reopening, which, as you said, happened earlier in the summer on July 13th. So it was 4 months that we were closed to the public. We closed on March 13th, and that was shortly after we had our annual birthday party for Dr. Seuss, which is one of our biggest programs. We had close to 2,000 people at the museums on March 7th when we had our big program. And then just about a week after that, we had to close to the public due to the pandemic. And, we thought it was going to be for 3 weeks, and it kept getting extended, of course, because of the COVID-19 outbreak that really has had such a dramatic impact on the country. So during the time that we were closed, we were still hard at work. A lot of our staff were working remotely. We had just a small number of employees that were actually working on site. And we started to engage in a lot of research about how we could reopen. We didn't know when we would be able to welcome visitors back to the museums, but we took that time to be very careful. So staff attended webinars. We engaged in a lot of discussions with employees at other museums throughout the region, just learning more about best practices. And of course, we were following the CDC guidelines. So the first step was really bringing staff back to the museums. We were able to do that in late May when the governor's office said that it was permissible for us to do that. And we were really concerned about the safety of our employees. So again, we had to really reconfigure offices. We had to stagger work schedules. There's so many things that we had to think about that were just unprecedented, not being able to have employees be in break rooms together, making sure that that they weren't in offices side by side. So after we did that, at the same time, we were bringing employees back. We were thinking about our galleries, how to make them safe for visitors, thinking about social distancing and putting directional signs throughout our galleries so we could really control the flow of traffic. In our Welcome Center, we installed plexiglass shields in all of the counters where visitors would come up to purchase their tickets. Thinking a lot about how to make things as touchless as possible. It's tough for us because one of the things that people really love about the Springfield Museums are our interactive experiences. So just rethinking all of those, the hands-on activities that we offer in our activity areas, turning them into the kinds of experiences where you just get a bag of art materials that you can take home with you instead of sitting down at a table and sharing with other visitors, thinking about how to keep people at a safe distance from one another, and all of the work that goes into that. It was really a lot of planning and a lot of implementation. But we wanted to be sure that when we had that time that was permissible for us to reopen, that when people came back to the museums, they would feel like they could do so safely. So that has really been front and center in all of our thinking about this response to the pandemic.
Yeah, a lot of planning, and as you said, because of the interactive component to the museums, which you guys have done such a tremendous job at over the past few years, that makes it even more challenging because touching, and as we know, children especially are learners, like to kind of touch and feel things and see things that makes it that much more challenging. So I guess that's a perfect segue to our next question. And how would you say your reopening has been received amongst the patrons that have visited? Are they are you seeing people starting to come back who are maybe regular patrons, or new people even, especially because there's so few activities to do with kids right now? I'm sure our museums are a great place that would be a great option.
Well, absolutely. And we've had a lot of people come back, and the people that have returned have been so excited to be at the museums. We have docents who are the volunteers who give guided tours, and they were among the first to come back. They were really excited to return, just to be at the museums again. And we've had visitors. We're at about 25% capacity now, which I think is great. It has been building every week, which is also really encouraging to see. But the idea is that we want people to feel like there's a lot of space. We have an outdoor campus, which, as I mentioned earlier, has the Dr. Seuss Memorial Sculpture Garden. That's a great asset for us during this time because we all know that it's safer to be outside during this time. We also have a lot of activities that we offer through our virtual museum. And we took some of the activities, one of the things that we've done in the past is we've had a lot of like scavenger hunts or activity guides, things that people pick up when they're on campus. So we realized that we didn't want to have paper being passed around from one person to another. So we developed something that we call the Yop, and that's based on a Dr. Seuss character. It's really cute. And it's something that you can use on your cell phone. So basically you go to the site and there you can find activity guides, guided tours, and it's something where you don't have to pick up anything. You can just use your cell phone. You can do it by yourself. You can do it as a family group. So that's another example of an adjustment that we've made in order to make people feel like they can come and still do the fun things that they really associate with the Springfield Museums, but do it in a way where they're not, involving a lot of, interaction with physical things or other people.
Sure. So what are some of the exhibitions that are on display right now? I mean, I'm assuming that with the 4-month layoff, that became a challenging thing for you as well, is to, determine what type of exhibitions you're going to, continue to show, and when you do reopen, which exhibitions are going to be highlighted and whatnot. So maybe for our audience at home, is there anything, or what exhibitions could they count on seeing when they do go?
Well, that's another great question. And you might know that we schedule exhibitions, the traveling exhibitions that we bring to the museums, we have to schedule years in advance. So we had already had them on our schedule. So the question was, and again, we didn't know when we were going to be able to reopen. So we just went on with our exhibition schedule as it had been planned. And we have a great lineup for people to enjoy when they're here. We have a wonderful exhibit at the Fine Arts Museum, the D'Amour Museum of Fine Arts, called Luster. It's hyper-realistic paintings of automobiles and motorcycles. In the Wood Museum of Springfield History, we have an exhibition called Hall of Heroes. This is great for family groups. Actually, visitors of all ages will enjoy it. It's based on superheroes from comic books and movies. So there's a Wonder Woman statue. There's an oversized Batmobile. There are many superheroes that are on display. And it's complemented in that building by an exhibit, which is superheroes of healthcare. And that really tells the history of healthcare in Springfield and the area leading up to what is happening in the present day. And we felt like it was so important to have this exhibition on view because we are all so thankful to the healthcare heroes that are getting us through this really challenging time with the public health crisis that's happening. And then finally, in the Science Museum, we have an exhibit called Lion Guard, which is based on the Disney series. So just a fantastic lineup of exhibits, which in combination with the great permanent displays that we have in all of our museums, the Springfield Museums are a great place to come during the summer.
Absolutely. And air conditioned?
Air conditioned.
That's good to hear.
Very comfortable, even on the hottest days of this very hot summer.
Absolutely. So, for the past 4 or 5 months, we've all been kind of reduced to, or, have reduced our activities and reduced a lot of things in our lives. And I think, as we start to transition, out of hopefully the COVID-19 and the shutdowns and, moving on to hopefully phase 3, through phase 3 and phase 4, why do you think it's important that people reconnect with arts and culture and history and, especially given the circumstances that we all find ourselves in now?
Well, the museums serve a very important role in the community, as you know. And I think during times of great challenge or crisis, we all look to our most trusted institutions for meaning and for solace and as a way to escape from the cares of the world. And for that reason, I think that the museums during this time are more important than ever. And we have done everything we can to adjust to what's happening in terms of needing to maintain social distance and doing activities in a virtual sense through our virtual museum. But I think that having people come together at the quadrangle to participate in all the wonderful programs and performances and demonstrations that we have on an ongoing basis is critically important. People come from all over to the museums. We have people who come from the city of Springfield, come from communities outside of Springfield, and then there are tourists that come, as I said earlier, from all different places in the country and, from different countries throughout the world. And so to have this place where you have people enjoying presentations, learning together, I think that's a very rare and unique experience that we offer at the museums that you can't find other places.
Absolutely. And I've noticed, my family and other families, maybe one positive thing that has come out of the pandemic and how we've had to adhere to guidelines is that there's a lot more quality family time being spent with each other. And, there's not many more better places than to have, good quality family time than the Springfield Museums, because as you had stated before, there's something for me, there's something for my wife, there's something for our kids, there's something for everybody across all generations. And as you said before, sometimes it's speaking from experience, the parents that get more excited about the superheroes in the Batmobile than even the kids do. So it's just a really, really neat place. And again, you guys are doing a great job. And but with that said, we're going through as a country, as a world, really going through some changes because of the pandemic. Things are going to be different moving forward, and there's been social justice movements, Black Lives Matter and movement, and the result, the protests, and as a result, from the George Floyd murder, and along with other obviously social justice issues that preceded that. How does that mix with art? Obviously art in many cases is about culture, and what we're experiencing now is part of our culture. And how do you intertwine the two, or does it just naturally happen?
I think it's natural. I think a lot of artists have expressed their concerns about social issues through their artistic expression. And I feel at the museums, it's a perfect platform to engage in really important explorations of social justice issues. So, for example, before we had to close due to the pandemic, we opened an exhibition in the D'Amour Museum of Fine Arts called Voices of Resilience, which examined the hidden histories of women of color and who have been very engaged in the fight for equality and social justice. So because we had to close, we've actually extended that exhibit, and it will be on view through the end of the year. We're going to close it in the beginning of January 2021. So that is currently on view. We're going to open another show from the Smithsonian. You'll remember, of course, that we're a Smithsonian affiliate and we have a partnership with the Smithsonian. So we are bringing an exhibit called Contemporary American Portraiture, the Outwind, to the museums. It will open in October. And this is an exhibit that showcases the work of contemporary artists. Many of them are African American or artists of color who are looking at the issues of identity and there are concerns about immigration, gender bias, all forms of prejudice. So that will be a very important show for us to have on view. We will complement that with a show by artists from the community who are also looking at issues of identity. So I think that that will be part of an ongoing series of exhibits and programs looking at this very, very important issue. And I think it will have great meaning for the community. The other thing that we've done is for our staff and for our trustees, we are having a seminar on healing racism, and that's already been set up. So that will be taking place this fall, because we're going to continue to work with our staff, work with our trustees and all of our volunteers to engage in a very meaningful discussion about this topic and really think about the ways that we can respond to what is happening in the world.
Sure. Well, it sounds exciting, but it also sounds very educational. And, you know, when you combine the two, that's always a good positive thing for any community. And we're just about finished here, but I always like to give our guest a minute or so at the end to maybe highlight anything you'd like to about the museums that you think people should know about.
Well, we've talked about a lot today, but I just would like to say that, you know, we're going to work as hard as we can as we work through this transition, with the hope that there will be a vaccine that is viable by the end of the calendar year and widely available in the beginning of 2021. So, you know, next summer at this time, we will be back at 100% capacity, welcoming visitors from all over as we have in the past. And we'll be ready to do that and looking forward to the moment that we can really re-engage fully with our public on site.
Absolutely, no doubt. And again, Springfield Museums, one of the real true highlights of Western Massachusetts and truly our Commonwealth and our region. And again, Kay Simpson, so grateful that you took some time to join us today, and appreciate you highlighting and talking about the museums, and certainly encourage anybody who is looking for something to do to make a trip to the museums. And it's a safe, with all the different guidelines that have been, protocols that have been put in place, a safe experience, and just a tremendous place filled with culture and learning. So, Kay, I want to thank you for being our guest today, and for all of you at home watching, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Kay. Take care.
Well, thank you.